सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज आपकी आवाज, विज्ञान की आवाज, की आवाज।
Celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we bring you a podcast series on STEM popularization, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine, supported and catalyzed by the National Council for Science and Technology Communication, Government of India. This program is produced by Media for Community Foundation. Creative content and technical support is given by Radioactive Community Radio, Bengaluru.
एक नई दुनिया की आवाज आपकी आवाज, विज्ञान की आवाज, की आवाज, की आवाज।
Latest information on STEM popularization.
Breakthrough in thermonuclear fusion research, December 2022. December 5th, 2022 became an important day for the world of science, but also for the history of mankind. On this day, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, LLNL, scientists achieved a breakthrough in thermonuclear fusion research, which has been conducted at the National Ignition Facility, NIF. For the first time in the history, fusion has produced more energy than was expended to start the reaction. The news of this event was announced on December 13th during the press conference of the LLNL representative, which was also held in the presence of the Secretary of Department of Energy and the head of the US Nuclear Safety Agency. Thermonuclear fusion consists in combining light atomic nuclei into heavier ones, which is accompanied to release of significant amounts of energy. The fuel that would be ideally suited to generate energy as a result of this reaction is hydrogen, because we have it in abundance on our planet. However, atomic nuclei repel electrostatic forces. So for the fusion to occur, very specific condition must be created, namely heating them to millions of degrees and squeezing them to millions of atmospheres. This process is different in stars, where it takes place thanks to quantum tunneling. Thermonuclear fusion has been attempted many times around the world, but so far the result has been absorption of more energy than the amount produced. The National Ignition Facility has been working on this phenomenon since the 1950s, but it is technically very difficult. That is why the latest results are such a huge breakthrough and show new possibilities. The experiment was that the pulse of huge NIF lasers delivered 2.05 megajoules of energy to hydrogen capsule, while the fusion yielded 3.15 megajoules or 54% of the excess over million joules. Although a million sounds were exciting, this value is equivalent to quarter of kilowatt hour, which is enough energy to boil a kettle of water a dozen times. The vigilant scientific community also notes that while only 2.05 megajoules of energy were supplied to the process itself, more than 322 megajoules of energy was used to power the 192 lasers needed, which is practically 100 times more than the fusion produced. This is one of the reasons that emphasizes that it takes decades to work by teams of scientists and engineers to find the possibility of using thermonuclear fusion on the larger scale.
Now, our next segment is Analyst in STEM. Today, we are with Dr. T. Govindaraju, Chair, Education, Technology Unit, New Chemistry Unit and School of Advanced Materials, Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research.
Okay, so our research work is at the intersection of chemistry and biology, specifically on Alzheimer's disease, which is a major contributor to dementia. In layman terms, dementia is a disease condition, is actually an umbrella term for several diseases, and as I said, Alzheimer's is one of the major, 60 to 80% of dementia is linked to Alzheimer's disease. Okay. So we, to say dementia, what is dementia? So dementia is a disease condition linked to that affect language, memory, behavior, and essentially is a cognitive health. It's affect the cognitive health, and we want to simplify. The dementia leads, is a cause for it causes people to lose memory and lose oneself, and they will have a problem in doing day-to-day work. So we are working on understanding the disease mechanisms, and to devise ways to tackle this disease in terms of detection and also treatment.
Okay. So how is your research beneficial to a common man or India as a whole, and what kind of contribution is it making to the field of science in India?
Again, thank you. When it comes to the disease, so as I mentioned, dementia is a global health problem, and so is in India. So, for example, if you go back 10-15 years ago, so the public was not too aware of dementia or anything to do with neuro-related neurosciences and health problems related to brain or the neuronal system. But now I think the India also is well aware of mental health and of course many diseases related to the brain. So in that sense, it's a problem. It's a problem in India and also is a global problem. In fact, the Alzheimer's disease alone ranks in some top 5 to 6 disease in the world. Yeah. So we have done quite a bit of work. We have been working in this area for last almost 14 years. Okay. And then we have done quite a bit of work in terms of understanding disease mechanism and also developing platforms for detection. And more recently, it's actually more than 12 years of work. We discovered a novel drug candidate, which is now expected to go for clinical trial, which is one of its kind in India, both from academia and industry.
Okay, that's great. That's a great lot of work. Could you brief about your past, present, and future area of research, like where you have worked?
Okay, probably I will just go back to my earlier research.
Yeah.
So I did my education in chemistry. I'm a chemist. Okay. And then subsequently I moved, in chemistry, specialized in organic chemistry. And when I specialized in organic chemistry, then I started, thinking about what is my future. Obviously, when you see organic chemistry, it's all about the molecules which you found in the drug capsules. Yeah. So obvious, career, path would be medicinal chemistry or intersection of chemistry and biology. Yeah. So that's how I work at the intersection of chemistry and biology. Then I did my PhD from Pune. In one of the well-known National Chemical Laboratory, where I work in the area of bioorganic chemistry and specifically to make molecules which are useful in gene therapy. Okay. And then from there, after my PhD, then I went for what you call postdoctoral training. So that was one in US and another one in Germany. And where my research was focused on developing platforms for high throughput screening. Meaning, for example, you can make many of these molecules and then you screen them to see whether they have drug-like activity.
Okay.
So instead of just doing one at a time, can we take several of them and then screen them to screen them such that the success rate will be very high. In short time, you will end up having a possibly a active compound or a lead, what we call.
Yeah.
And then around that time, then I realized that this the research, research in neuroscience and particularly on brain was taking shape, because brain, we know it is a master regulator. Unfortunately, what we know about brain is like tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
We don't know much, in spite of brain controlling all of us.
Agreed.
And then in fact, and then there are several big projects are coming up in North America, Europe, and that's caught my attention. Okay, I think that is neuroscience and something to do with brain is what interested me that time. And then specifically Alzheimer's disease attracted, because this is a major problem, but unfortunately there were no solutions and mostly failures. Even today, that is to some extent. Of course, we have learned in the community, we have learned a lot about the disease, but there were more failures than the success stories in Alzheimer. That attracted me. I like always challenging problem. I don't mind failing. So that is my inner kind of feel. So that's how I decided. So although I worked on many different things, then that is the point. I decided, okay, when I start my independent research career, I'm going to work on Alzheimer's disease. So that's how I got into Alzheimer's disease. That journey started in 2008, when I came back from abroad to start my independent career here in JNCASR.
Okay, sir. Do you have any idea about where India is right now ranked at in your field of research?
Yeah, maybe I'll make it little more general.
Okay.
In terms of for example, my field falls into neuroscience and also brain research.
Yeah.
In that area, we know there are people here and there working on neuroscience and neuroscience. Some good research is happening, but if you take it as a collective effort or a broader broad or a bigger challenges, we lack.
Okay.
For example, as I mentioned, there was a brain initiatives in North America, in US, and there is a human brain project in Europe, and similar thing in Japan and China. Unfortunately, we don't have such grand challenges or a grand problem in the area of neuroscience. As you know, neuroscience, it has many facets for neuroscience. So we don't have such a bigger problem, theme-based groups are a bigger challenge. Apart from doing individuals doing some research, interesting research here and there, but we don't have really a collective effort to make a bigger contributions in the field. And then apparently, I hope we realize sooner than later, neuroscience is something which is very, very important field, linked to health, the human mental health and many diseases, like I told you, dementia. I mentioned Alzheimer is a major disease, but there are many such diseases. You can take Parkinson's disease, you can take Huntington disease, and there is ALS, and I can go on and on and on, and I can give you at least some 30-40 such diseases, although they're smaller, but still contribute. And in addition to that, such big problem would also help in generating, in creating new technologies. For example, when you have a brain project, it's not just about understanding the brain. To understand that, you develop several technologies. How to deal with it. Brain is a very sophisticated and the organ. You cannot deal with brain just like any other organs in our body. So while doing, to deal with that, we come up with new technologies. So that helps, in understanding the brain structure and functions. Of course, that subsequently help curing many, finding solutions for many diseases. And there is also another advantage. It can also will have impact, in terms of computational science, computer science or artificial intelligence, ML. It will also have direct impact in other cognitive neuroscience, what people say, or computing and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be helpful if you give some information about your contemporaries.
Well, I don't want to give any specific contemporary example, but as I said, for example, in terms of developing a drug candidate, which we are very unique. For example, ours is, we are chemists and we are working at the interface of biology, and that helps. We have a kind of a research program set up where we do, all this, make these molecules and we test them, and then test them in the in the lab, and also test them on animal models. And that is it took almost 15 years for me to establish this entire research program under one roof. And possibly here we don't find such facility, of course, thanks to Government of India, all that, it's for the support. As such, and there are many groups, not if not in India, at least there are many groups working in a broad subject area of including Alzheimer's and many other diseases across the globe. So I cannot take just one name. Just to say, for example, recently there was no drug available for Alzheimer's disease. Even today, there are no drug available which can cure Alzheimer's kind of cure. However, there is some progress made, which is from the industry. Last 1.5 years, there were 2 antibody biologics. You must have heard antibody-based drugs have been approved in US. Of course, it has these drugs have their own challenge. Of course, it's a challenge because they have approved only for early stage. Early stage, not in the there is something called MCI or a middle stage, or in the later stage there is nothing. In principle, there is no full solution for Alzheimer's disease. But having said that, yes, there are some drugs, very recent drugs, which are introduced. It's not available in India, it's only in the US, and they are very, very expensive. And they also have a lot of side effects. So otherwise, it's a good progress in terms of research and development. And our own drug, ours is a small molecule drug, which we discovered. It's a small molecule, much cheaper. And it is, we have licensed this to a pharma company. This will go for clinical trials. If this succeeds, then it can meet all sections of the community, all sections of our society, both in India, elsewhere, because it will be very, very cheap and will be affordable and works much better than whatever is there, so far.
How are Indian industries associating with your research?
Yeah, so I think already partially I covered, here and there. Having said that, so when we discovered this particular molecule, almost 2 years ago, and then it has become a big news both in India and abroad, in the media. And then few companies have approached us, few companies, both Indian and outside companies, with interest to take it forward because it's a very potential molecule. And then we have licensed this to a pharma which has a base in India, but it is also a global, is a multinational company which has a base in India. So our all dealings here are in India with this particular pharma. So in a way, it is directly linked to the pharma, and then is one of the high value licensing so far. And high value licensing so far, and also it's one of the new drug. It is not a copied or it is modified. No, it is a completely new entity. So new drug that has been licensed. So we are working with them to make this successful. In addition to that, we also developed a detection platform for Alzheimer's disease. So Alzheimer's disease, and which is now we are taking this forward to develop as a kit. So we have developed a molecular platform. Now we have to convert that into a diagnostic kit which can be used for detection of Alzheimer's disease. Now we are taken up through our startup company. So it is a startup company from Jawaharlal Nehru Center. So which is now, it's called Veneer Biotechnologies Private Limited. You can Google and you can find more information on it. So essentially, both in terms of detection and curing. So we have good success so far, and we are taking that forward through One is licensing for when it comes to treatment. The other one is through our entrepreneurship directly, our company. Yeah.
Here we are, signing off. Stay tuned with us to catch up on the latest science updates and learn about STEM experts.